Welcome back everyone to my Let's Play of Final Fantasy II for the Nintendo Famicom system. Let's continue our climb up Castle Palamecia to try to confront Leon, the Dark Knight. He's taken over for the Emperor, who we defeated in the Cyclone. So, why the Emperor didn't bring his right-hand man, the Dark Knight, with him to protect him in the Cyclone, we don't know, but it just means, I guess, that we get to continue this game. So, and quite a continue we have here, because this castle is pretty long. So, you know, we have another long episode here in front of us, and it will not be the final episode in this castle. So, I guess not only is the castle long, but has a lot of tough enemies in it that'll take quite a few rounds of combat. So that, of course, delays our progress through the castle. So, but hey, it gives us a good chance to build up stats, build up our skills, build up our spell levels. So, I want to try to get all our elemental spells up to level 8, our support spells up to level 4. Fess wants to get some more spirit, and that'll be worked through with his holy spell. So try to level that up a little bit. So yeah, we still got a lot of stuff to focus on here. So Maxine getting some intellect, Booker losing some intellect, but hey, we got the Yoichi bow. That's the best bow in the game. We can get that in the next dungeon as a treasure. But hey, getting it here is really good. It doesn't have an element to it, but it is stronger than both the ice and the flame bow, even with either of their elemental advantages. So even if you had plus 20 to the ice bow's attack for targeting an elemental weakness, the Yoichi bow is still stronger, so we'll never have to switch out bows anymore with Rickard. So that's pretty cool. So the Yoichi bow also has the I think you can use it in battle to cast Berserk 3 on everybody in your party. So, but luckily we don't have any bosses to take care of in this dungeon, so we don't have to worry about using that Berserk. Still, it's a nice secondary effect to have on a weapon. Most weapons tended to have a black magic effect, and that's not as useful because, like I said, it's divided by 4. So, like, even to cast something like, you know, a 16th level spell, it's only technically a level 4 spell in terms of damage. So, hey, the general gave 0 gold. That means we're going to get something off him. We got diamond helmet. Ugh. Nicest thing to get would be if we would have gotten dragon armor. That's an armor that we're going to get in the next dungeon that's really good for Booker. It's a heavy armor, but it has protection from lightning, ice, fire, and scourge. So, really good piece of armor there for Booker to use. But we'll just pick it up as a treasure in the next dungeon. So, let's continue our climb up this dungeon. Booker will get a better sword in this dungeon, so I guess he would have gotten a better sword in the last dungeon with the Defender, but that went over to Fess. So, Booker's still using that old ice brand, but that's okay. He's gonna go from cold to hot. It won't be a flame sword though, because that's an older sword, weaker than the ice brand that we also got in the Mysidia Tower. But we're getting a different sword. The sword that Marty Mouse wielded in Final Fantasy I, the Red Mage. So, if you watched my playthrough of that, you'll know what sword Booker will end up getting later on. So, let's finish off this Mithril Golem, or the Stone Golem. He looks like the Mithril Golem. There'll be, yeah, the golems are just getting stronger and stronger. We had wood golems, and then we have stone golems, and then we'll get mithril golems later on. And they're the toughest golems. Luckily, all the golems, though, are they're all rank 7, and they all have a weakness. So, the stone and the mithril are both weak to Scourge, and the wood, of course, is weak to fire. So, but, yeah, so they all have elemental weaknesses to overcome their strong defense and their strong magic resistance. Magic resistance is not taken into account when you target an elemental weakness. It automatically hits. So even if a character has, say, like 1400% magic defense, if you hit it with the elemental weakness, that's why some spells we can deal damage to enemies even though they have like almost max magic resistance, because we hit that elemental weakness. So that's one of the advantages of elemental weaknesses, besides doing, you know, extra damage and the spell getting extra power. So, more of these annoying little Lamia, the snake ladies. So, snakes. Yeah. Don't really, not really a fan of snakes. I'll touch them and pet them. Like we go to a reptile exhibit, or if I go to a reptile exhibit, sometimes I'll go with a friend or something. And I know there was a reptile exhibit at the one dog show I was at a while ago, Bogtoberfest. So I pet the turtles and I pet the snakes, but kind of avoided petting the snakes because I didn't want to get their scent on me. It wouldn't be good with rats in the house. So my pet rats, they'd be like, "Uh-oh, Daddy, what were you petting?" So I wanted to not freak them out. So fire's level 7 there. If we get to level 8, it'll start having 3 flames. See, as their spell level gets higher, it ends up the animation changes a little bit. So at first it was just a little tiny you know, dot of fire and a little dot of ice, a little lightning bolt, and now we're getting big flames, 2 columns of flames. Soon there'll be 3. So we went ahead to the left here first. We're going to have to go up, and then we're going to have to turn around here a little bit. We're going out of the way here to get some treasure. So the treasure up top that we're going to be getting is 3 elixirs, which are good treasures because we're running out of elixirs. I didn't stock up enough, so Fess is really, really low on MP, and he has no way to refill it, so... But if you're just looking for, like, equipment, you can theoretically, I guess, turn around once you get this treasure chest to the south here. It's the only one that's going to have a new weapon. It'll have Booker's new sword. So, got these skull enemies here. Weak against fire because they're undead. I guess they're pretty good for building up your magic defense and magic resistance, because, as you can see, they're casting a lot of spells on us. But the spells, because they're multi-targeting, ain't doing a lot of damage. Plus we have protection from elements. Most of our characters have protection from elements at this point in time. So not dealing a lot of damage to us. And it's a good way to have characters on the back row potentially gain some hit points. Because physical attacks will never hit Maxine and Rickard. So that's why their hit points are lagging so far behind Fess and Booker's. I said, this is the first time that I ever had Booker's hit points lag behind Fess's. But that's, I guess, just because, you know, Booker got so blessed with agility growths and evasion that he's been avoiding a lot of physical attacks, so he doesn't have as many opportunities to gain hit points from losing hit points. So, but that's alright, you know. Sometimes you get anomalies in these games when you can't really control your stats. So let's just finish these guys off, and I didn't want to necessarily target that right one, but we'll be okay. We'll finish these guys off. So, I thought I targeted the wrong one there. Stun Booker. That's not a good thing to hit. Well, I guess it worked out that I did hit the right one, so I thought the blizzard thing would finish the skull off, so, but I was wrong, so Fess gaining some spirit. That's probably a result of, well, that is a result of the glitch that Fess gains spirit when he's attacked by magic, because Fess didn't cast any white magic in that battle, so there was no reason for him to get the spirit increase. But like I said, the glitch, sometimes he gets spirit automatically when the enemy casts spells. So these cores can cast the spell Blaster, which kind of paralyzes your characters. So it can be kind of annoying. Not as annoying as in future Final Fantasies where Blaster can paralyze or instantly knock your character out. But they're still an annoying enemy, so try to get rid of them as quick as possible. Lamia Queen used to be that old boss. Maybe we can get lucky and get a ribbon off of her. That would be nice, a second ribbon. That would go on Maxine, if we do get a second ribbon. So, essentially, I said Booker won't need a ribbon because he'll have all the elemental protection from his armor and shield. But Maxine could always use a nice ribbon. I guess it'd be really appropriate for her. You know, being a girl, you don't think of males wearing ribbons. Tend to be a thing that women put in their hair. But we won't complain. Good headgear. So, also we had a good sword there, the Sun Sword. It'd be a good, nice increase for Booker. Even an increase on the defense sword as well in terms of just attack power. But the defense sword, of course, has that really nice bonus to evasion. 8% plus the sword level. So, but for Booker, it'll be a nice attack power increase over his Ice Brand sword. And it does extra damage to undead enemies. So, stuff like that. Skull. Not that Booker's having a problem one-shotting them anyway, but... So, there's 11 more attack power. So, Bacchus wine, drink that, you get Berserk 6, see, I think, on you. So, let's look around what characters, what stuff we have here. Switching around items. So we don't need those Thief's Gauntlets on Booker because he has the black robe there. So we can give them down, pass them down to, just trying to figure things out here. Now he gets the black garb too, so he has the agility. Just trying to increase our, the amount of defensive power we have. So, he has the Thief's Gloves, he doesn't need the agility from the black robe, so we'll give him some better diamond armor. Switch things around a little bit. Spells are looking a third of the way through each of them. So, let's head up and go to the next floor and grab those elixirs. Sadly, because a special event happens in this thing, we can't use the warp spell to backtrack. That would be really nice, but it's like the ice cave. There's going to be a special event, so we won't be able to use our warp spell to eliminate a lot of this backtracking. But it just means more chances to fight enemies and gain some stats. So, we should gain some good magic defense here with these skulls. Keep hitting us with their weak blizzard spells. We could use a fire to take these guys out, but right away. But don't want to use Scourge on undead because undead poison heals, and give a chance to work out different spells. So, like I said, a lot of enemies are going to be weak to fire. More enemies are weak to fire than anything else. So, if we fire will be the last spell that we really work on. So. Because we're going to run into more enemies that are weak against fire, so when we run into an enemy that, isn't weak against fire or doesn't need a fire spell to take it out, we'll just work on some of the other spells that are more neglected. And that would be your Scourge and Thunder. because most things are weak to fire, then followed by ice, then thunder, then scourge. So priority would go to using scourge, but because that would heal the undead, I went with thunder instead. That was the only reason I did that one instead. So otherwise, like I said, I would have tried to use scourge because this is the most neglected spell. So, but hey, Osmos spell there, another good spell to work up. A lot of the tougher bosses toward the end of the game, one way you can cheese them is they tend to be more magical based and tend to use more spells than physical attacks. And if you raise Osmos to a really high level, you can basically just drain them of all their MP, and then they'll be forced to rely on their physical attacks. And sometimes the games are balanced, that they balance the monsters that they're really dangerous with magic, but not so dangerous with their physicals. So, sort of how your characters are kind of balanced. If you try to raise a wizard, they're going to have low strength, because strength and intelligence, cancel each other out. I guess it's the same with the monsters. So you can really cripple some of the endgame bosses if you just focus on building up Osmos and just keep draining MP over and over and over again. And I guess Osmos would be much easier to build up than, say, a damage spell, because most damage spells, you're limited in the amount of time the amount of times you can cast them in a battle because they're dealing damage and defeating the enemies. Well, Osmos, you can keep draining MP even if the enemy is still has 0 MP. The game will still allow you to cast the spell, so you can cast it on enemies and not defeat them. So, because remember your rank, the amount of points you get after a battle is somewhat determined by the amount of times you cast the spell in battle. So, poor little froggy. The good thing is that like frog, when used against us, doesn't instantly defeat us. Toad is the most accurate instant defeat spell. I think it has a base accuracy of 40. And any character that you hit, any enemy that you hit with an instant defeat spell like Death, Mini, Toad, Exit, or Life. Or Life with for undead. Instantly, defeats the enemy and they don't get to fight on as a frog or as a little mini person. But we, doesn't affect us like that, so. And we also don't get, like, the weaknesses. It's like most of the Final Fantasies, frogs are weak to Blizzard. But Maxine was turned into a frog, but she didn't take extra damage because she was a frog, not hit with Blizzard, so. She retains her, human resistances. Well, I guess in this case, her rattie resistances. But she doesn't, unfortunately, retain her ability to cast spells. Yeah, so in like future Final Fantasies, if you're a Toad, you can only cast the Toad spell to turn you back into a human from being a Toad. So there we got a bunch of elixirs there, so now we can finally heal up Fess. Give him back his MP. That was the main thing we wanted to do. Now we get to turn around and walk back to the floor below where we got that sun sword. And then back a little further. Because we headed to the left, now we have to head down to get to the Emperor, to the Dark Knight, who is, I guess, technically now the Emperor. Remember, he's proclaimed himself the new Emperor. So, I guess he's the artist formerly known as the Dark Knight. So, that was the moniker, not the Dark Knight, but Prince, the old artist. He changed his name to a symbol. And people just called him the artist formerly known as Prince. So, unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago. Surprised how time flies. Some of these old artists who, you know, you grew up with hearing, you know, in the 80s and 90s, who've passed away, and then you realize how long it's been since they passed away. Michael Jackson, George Michaels, Prince. You know, I think, like, wasn't it just like a year or two ago? And then you find out it's like 10, 5 or so. How time flies as you get older, I guess. So, time flies like an arrow, and fruit flies like a banana. I found out my dog does not like bananas, which is surprising because normally he likes to eat everything that I'm eating. So yeah, he's you gotta put some weight on, but he can't have like treats like doggy treats because he has to limit his protein because his kidneys are starting to fail. But he's losing weight, and so the vet's like, well, you give him some like fruit and stuff to help put on some weight. So got him some bananas, and because I like bananas, and didn't like them, but well, I hope you're liking this playthrough, and you come back to our next episode. Take care, have a good one, bye.